Hey, what's your Copepods, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's topic, we want to share with you guys about rethinking the cycling of Caridina stream tanks. But before we go into today's topic, we want to give a special shout out to Sam, who has been using the baby dust food. He is based in the UK and has been very supportive of my channel. And for those who are still sitting on the fence regarding baby dust food, you can reach out to your nearest agent to actually get it. So today's topic, we will talk about rethinking about the cycling of Caridina stream tanks. And the reason for doing that is because a couple of years ago, I've shared between the hard water and soft water parameters. So how do we actually do about it? So I just wanted to give a recap and probably a better video for understanding the difference between the hard water parameters and soft water parameters. It's not about the pH, the softness of the pH or the hardness. I kind of like term them what is measurable and what is observable. So what is measurable, like for example, when we have like GH test kit, we have magnesium test kit, we have aquarium core test strips, and all these are measurable ones. These are the ones that during a cycle we can actually use it as an indication of where the cycle is, the process of where the cycle is currently. So for example, when we start out a new tank, we have active soil in there. So in terms of the release of ammonia and all that, so that can be tested. Like you can use your test kit, your API, your Sarah, whichever kind of brands of test kit, you can actually use them to test. And then you can actually understand, okay, today we are having 3 ppm of ammonia in the tank. And what are we going to do about it? So we're going to keep cycling until a time where ammonia has come down and converted to nitrite, and then nitrite converted to nitrate. So a lot of times people, understand that, oh, as long as I have nitrate, my tank is cycled. But however, this is not entirely true technically. The reason is because let's say we're going to turn on the tap from the faucet, you're going to test it, there's no ammonia, there's no nitrite, probably some nitrate. But does it mean that, your water is actually cycled right off the tap? It's actually not cycled. I think we have to really differentiate between the hard measurable ones, which are the pH, GH, TDS, and nitrate, nitrite. All of these are measurable. So when do we know that your tank is actually fully ready, or really ready for the streams to actually go in? So when we talk about all these measurable ones, it doesn't give you a clear indication whether is it sufficient or is it good enough for the streams to go in. And the reason is because all this data point is just to give you an idea of where the cycling process is and where your tank condition is at that point of time. It's like a snapshot of where the point of your tank is. However, when do you think that we can actually put the streams in? Is usually, especially for us, we use the observable ones. The observable indication, the elements that we actually use before we put the streams in, is because those will support the life of the stream. So before we even go and put the streams in, we actually want the tank to have the ability to support the life of the streams. So having the tank being able to support life, like for example, if you can put ramshorn snails in, if they survive, that's good. And then what we often do is that during cycle, we often always introduce plants and Copepods. So Copepods, for example, if you have a clean source, you can actually introduce Copepods into the tank. Like for example, you can use rotifillers, you can use daphnias, you can use there are different types of Copepods that you can actually use to actually enhance. Because the reason for doing that is when you have Copepods in the tank, it means that the tank is able to support life. So when the tank is able to support life, your streams, when they go in, they are able to survive. So that's the very first part of the my 4 guiding principles. Survivability, that's the very first one. Keeping them alive is the most important part of the entire hobby, because if you cannot keep them alive, then you're not going to progress on to the next stage. So the very first part of it is that how do we actually know when the tank is ready or not ready? So if let's say your tank has a 4 ppm of ammonia, you're going to put ramshorn snail. Probably they will survive, probably they will not. You put Copepods in there, they may not even survive. So when do we know that exactly when it is ready? So when we hear the term mature tank, right? Mature tank. But what is maturity? What are some of the things that denotes maturity? A mature tank, you can do all your test kits, you can do everything. Your water parameters is spot on. So a lot of times when people say, "Oh, what happened to your tank?" "Oh, my tank, my streams are dying." But what is your water parameters? "Oh, don't worry about water parameters. Don't ask me about your water parameters. My water parameters is spot on." So when we always have that spot on mentality, then we don't really understand and fully understand the fundamentals of a mature tank. A mature tank is where the tank is capable of supporting a life, supporting the streams, supporting fishes. I think that is where a mature tank comes into play. So mature tanks do not only uses a test, to measure whether are they really mature. However, we have to include the soft water parameters which is the observable ones, where we have Copepods in the tank. That's first. Second, especially for Caridina stream tanks, you get a lot of this. You start to get a lot of this algae without introducing additional powder to it. So the reason for not introducing additional powder to it is we don't necessarily need additional ammonia for the tank to cycle. When you have green walls, when you have all this, it's the outcome or the output of excess nitrate, phosphate. The water is very nutrient rich. However, does it mean that it will support better life? Actually, long story short, it does not. So having a lot of algae does not equate to better stream survivability. There has no correlation to it, and there has been no journal articles supporting these claims. And the reason is because in the wild there is nobody adding ammonia every single water change. When it rains, there's nobody saying that, okay, I'm gonna dose 4 ppm of ammonia into the river. Nobody does that. Ammonia happens over time. Your food, your organic waste, your dead streams. So all these, will have ammonia. It actually produces ammonia when they die. So when we talk about those areas that we want to look at, what are some of the things that we want to be very sure to have that before we actually put the streams in? Number one, your Copepods. So when you have to start to see some form of algae in the tank, then of course those are the areas that you can actually see that even without substrate, we use the basket method, and those are the ones that will actually help you provide indication that your tank is actually starting to get ready. As you can see over here, there are two tanks that are actually doing the cycling. One with a gravel in there, and one is still bare tank. So during our cycling process, what we actually do is that we remineralize from day one, because what we want to do is that when we put in the mosses and the plants, we want the plants and the mosses to survive. So if we're going to use 0 TDS water, especially for Caridina streams, we always use RO water to fill the tank, and then some people remineralize only after. But for us, we remineralize the day that the water goes in. And the reason is because we want to support life. We want to support the survivability of the plants, the Copepods, and create an ecosystem for that. And that's the reason why after a reset, we always use a GH plus to actually put into the tank and put it to 85 to 90 TDS. So from here you can actually see, maybe not as clear, but you can see that over here we have different types of Copepods, and we have seen this through the microscope as well. You can actually see that the Copepods actually survive in such a tank, and this is where you can actually know that your tank is mature. Your tank has started to get maturity. However, does it mean that we can actually put the streams in there? Technically, yes, we can put the streams in there. But however, if we continue to let it cycle, continue to let the Copepods grow and breed, it will develop more and more over time. So there's really no rush for us during this phase. The reason is because, like for example, if we go through here, So this tank has been has streams in there, and you can see that the streams are probably, yeah, breathing well over here. And we have the exact same setup from this, and from this. So the only difference is that the soil color. We use now the reset baskets to actually do the cycling. And for example, one of the best and most advantages of using a reset basket is that if we realize that these streams do not really like low pH or high pH, maybe a pH of 5, pH of 6, we can actually put in a reset basket with ADA soil, and then it will buffer it down to 5.5. So as we move along on resets over here, you can actually see, I'm just gonna come down here, you can actually see from an angle there are a lot of algae in the tank, the front wall of the tank, and things are actually starting to develop, and Copepods and all that. So for Copepods, if you can purchase them, you purchase them from a good source. If not, you can introduce them from your other tanks. So what we are actually having here is that this tank is maturing. It's not actually mature yet. And before we actually add all the streams in there, what we like to do is that we will add snails. The reason is because the snails will actually help to clean up the tank surface area, the front glass, the side glass, and all of this, because we do not want to keep cleaning the front glass as much as we can. We want to have the snails do the job, and having all this, creating an ecosystem. By then, when you put the streams in, the streams will be happy, and your tank glass is clean, and they will start breeding, and you will not have to do a lot of maintenance after that. So we have been an advocate of doing the work up front, waiting for the tank to really stabilize, to really mature before we put the streams in. Because once you put the streams in, it is up to the stream now to actually breed. So we create the environment for the streams to breed, then we leave it to them to do the breeding. So a lot of our tanks over here, we use the exact same methodology of how we actually cycle the tank before we put the streams in, and it has served us a very good purpose and served us very well for the ways we do it. As you can see over here, we have 4 tanks that we have changed to the aquarium co-op filter, and this is where the beneficial bacteria is insufficient in the tank or in the sponge filter, and that's the reason there is a bacteria bloom. So do I do anything to it? Actually, I do not. So I just let the tank continue to cycle and cycle. So these are all mature tanks. The only difference is that we change out the filtration, we change out the sponge filters, and this is the outcome of it. Which means that we are actually taking all the beneficial bacteria out from the tank and putting in a new filter. So why did we do that? It's actually to show you guys that even when it's cloudy, so over time, it will then be clear again. So I have one tank over here that went through it. So this tank was exactly the same like the tank on the left. They are all very murky, very, very cloudy. The reason is because of bacterial bloom. So once the beneficial bacteria start to colonize onto the filtration, you can actually see that the tank gets clear up again. So there is really no rush to actually do it and try to do something, do more of the change. It actually hurts it even more. So we can actually see from here on the side wall of it, you can actually see there is a lot of Copepods and a lot of life. So which means that, I'm not sure if you can zoom in. I'm going to zoom in and see. Yes, you can actually see that there's a lot of Copepods on the side of the wall. So it actually helps, all these are very good indication of where your tank maturity is. So your plants are growing, your snails are growing, your Copepods are growing, everything is growing, your streams will like it. So thank you. I hope you guys have learned something from it, and until next time, peace out.